Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. We are beset with information and misinformation. But one thing that attacks us, even if it's wrong, is so-called consideration for health and food. And we have found that food fallacies abound, based on rather based on the facts which are not fully examined. On the first hint of any new discovery, we come to a conclusion, and then voila, the fallacies take deep root. If you remember, people from Indian subcontinent used to use clarified butter, desi ghee, in plenty. And then came the vegetable oil sellers and manufacturers, and huge advertisement and medical articles and opinions that this was harmful, it will create cardiac arrest, and it was very dangerous. So people stopped using it. And now they say this is the best oil. May not be as good as olive oil is, but still, this is a panacea. And now there is a reverse trend towards the consumption of desi ghee. That was one example. And it has been found that the vegetable oils, especially hydrogenated vegetable oils, which were a craze, are in fact harmful. So, this was one fallacy, but this is not the only fallacy. There are rather two major fallacies which have been coming out because either of health reasons or medical reasons or half-baked research or because of our cultural constraints. If you have ever been on a health kick or wanted to lose weight, you may have switched from eating white rice to brown rice. The brown rice is touted for its health benefits, while white rice has been demonized in its many health-conscious communities. But do you know? Are you aware that brown rice is really healthier? That's what you have been believing. No, it's not. As a matter of fact, the white rice is much more healthy and useful than the brown rice is. There are few reasons that the brown rice is often considered a better option. The main argument is that it's a whole grain. The difference between the white rice and the brown rice is that brown rice is in its unprocessed whole grain form. White rice has been removed the bran and the germ during the processing, and thus it doesn't have that much of fiber. And fiber is considered to be a nutrient that's known to lower calorie, cholesterol, controls blood sugar, regulates digestion. It is true that brown rice has more fiber than the white rice because it's unrefined. But what type of fiber? This the doctors won't tell you, the dietitians won't tell you. They say take brown rice as more fiber. But what sort of fiber? There are two sorts of fiber, the soluble and the insoluble. The soluble fiber absorbs water like isbagol, xylem. And that softens your stool in the digestive tract, making them easier to pass. So it forms bulk and triggers peristalsis, which are intestinal contractions that help waste move through your body. Not only that, but soluble fiber also ferments in the digestive tract to promote a good balance of bacteria in the gut. Great. But brown rice doesn't have soluble fiber. It has insoluble fiber. It does not absorb water. It doesn't ferment. It doesn't get broken down at all. And result, it forms hard bulk in the intestines. And then all these dietitians and the coaches and the doctors say, take brown rice because of fiber. Suppressed, not that they are not aware, they are quite capable, they are quite aware of that fact, but they hide it. For what reason? I leave it to you to guess. I am no judge in that, but it is wrong. Now, and when this fiber, insoluble fiber, is used in large amounts, if you take it every day, like you take rice, most of the fat people take rice every day, then it takes quite a toll. This is a naturopathic medical doctor, Liz Carter. I was reading her, and says that this insoluble fiber takes a heavy toll on your gut. And I read out, brown rice is high in harsh, irritating, insoluble fiber, while white rice is not. I have seen brown rice be very difficult to handle for my patient with gut issues. In a letter to focus on the soluble fiber like food that feeds your gut. So if you have trouble with your gut issue based like constipation, want to consume more fiber, consider such foods with more soluble fiber rather than the insoluble fiber. And I refer to you the isbergol, the xylem, that's there. And there are others as well. Then, are you aware that the brown rice has a large amount of arsenic and phytates, which are almost poisonous? The presence of arsenic and phytates is really, really dangerous. Brown rice contains phytic acid. And no doctor will tell you. Now, this is an anti-nutrient, not a nutrient. It's an anti-nutrient because it blocks your body's ability to absorb nutrients like iron, zinc, and calcium. So, eating large amount of brown rice can ultimately lead to vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Then, brown rice is higher in arsenic, which is a toxic heavy metal that consumed over time can increase your risk of disease like cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, sex, and yet all these custodians of health and dietitians and advisors advise that you take brown rice and not white rice. And we have often been told that eating anything white that has been processed is bad. But in this case, processing the grain actually removes the inflammation-causing fiber, which makes it easier to digest, and lowers the amount of phytic and arsenic, making white rice a healthier choice. Now, all that being said, white rice does have a certain higher glycemic index. That I will not deny. Brown rice has less glycemic index. White rice has more, meaning it could elevate your blood sugar level. So if you have type 2 diabetes or you're pre-diabetic or high blood pressure, then you've got to be careful about the quantity you take. But then that is for every carbohydrate. Any carbohydrate will increase, has a high glycemic index. So you think about your consumption of the carbs rather than going in for the brown rice rather than the white rice. Now, as a wisdom of the ancient eating traditions in India and China, we have seen that both in India and China and in Japan and Korea, all over, the whole block, white rice is healthy, filling starch that's easy to cultivate, easy to prepare, and easy to digest. So before you forego the white rice and choose brown rice, consider all these factors. White rice may be more healthier addition to your plate of food after all. And this fallacy has created. Then another one is about the meat eaters and the vegetarians. Now pushing vegetarianism has become a norm, so much so that they are coming to plant-based meat. The whole idea stinks. And that has more to do with identity politics than the historical facts. Historically, no human being could have survived without meat. Long back. In the beginning, they were hunters. Not that they were not aware of the need of proteins or the presence of these in the meat, but apart from meat, there was hardly anything available. So either you eat meat or you go hungry. That was the time because there was no cultivation of the grains per se. Some wild fruits, yes, grass, yes, but no. But apart from it, there was nothing available for sustenance. And if at all they depended on any vegetation or fruits or berries that were available, that to supplement the meat, which dominated their diet. And even the teeth, if you look, they are carnivorous teeth. So domestication of animals occurred very early in the human history. And nomadism, which was the norm then, was in no way constrained to carrying animals. Wherever people went, they would go. And the wealth was counted by the number of animals that you had. So domestication of plants, the agriculture, was when the human beings settled. It happened relatively very late in the civilizational development. In cultivation, there was no guarantee that a particular crop will last till the harvest time and yield the required food. There might be drought, there might be floods, pests that render the entire task of cultivation futile exercise. So, given the early humans did not depend on any organic and chemical fertilizers, the cultivation was a highly uncertain condition. So, why would an individual or a group of individuals spend long hours in cultivation and give up easier way of life that provided a plenty of food in the form of meat? Besides, with cultivation, human beings became dependent on the whims of Mother Nature, which invariably made the vagaries of weather descend to them. And it's significant if you look at the cave and the rock paintings that were made 40,000 years back, the Upper Paleolithic period, you would find that animals are there because the domestication of the plant, that's the cultivation which started only about 12,000 years back, while meat eating has been for 40,000 years back. So before the human beings became cultivators, they had ample time on their hands to indulge in arts. And that continues. The humans did not go for cultivation and settled life. And one of the necessity was the depletion of the animal food. So cultivation started because they found that the cattle were not enough. So when not enough non-meat was available, a few people gave up meat or ate it less. And that started the emergence of vegetarianism. Although there remained a humongous section of the people. And now come to the facts. Go to any corner of the world, even in India. Even the Brahmins in Kashmir and Kerala eat meat. The population of vegetarianism till the fad of vegan food started has always been a minority, if not on minuscule scale. So in spite of the widespread belief that the people are primarily vegetarian, and that's what they said, by human nature man is. No, it's not. The truth is the other way around. There was a National Family Survey, the fourth one. 70% of women and 78% of men in India consume meat in one form or the other. So given the above, the frequent squabbles that take place is nearly not understandable unless it's politically motivated or based on wrong facts. And then, they say that this is Thomas food. It creates generates anger. No. Basically, what's happening is that the people have their axe to grind. And I had written last time that as a matter of fact, beef is the healthiest food. Red meat is criticized. But if you remember last comment, I told how that is more beneficial. So these three fallacies I have taken up today. Salt. The salt was so important that its basically salary word was derived from salt. It's a preservative. Of course, if you eat too much, it's harmful. But the worst thing is they say anything white is bad. No. Take everything in moderation and don't be taken it by the fallacies of food. They are meant to befool you for the purposes that are economic or profit oriented. They are definitely not meant to be followed exactly. Use your rational thinking and then decide. But don't be taken in by the fallacies propagated and promoted for reasons which are not exactly health related. Thank you.